It's time to reinvent yourself. It's time to change the trajectory of everything that you've ever known. And I want you to understand something about reinvention. It's not about becoming someone new, it's about uncovering who you were meant to be, who you've always been. And so, my intention is by the end of this video, you will have a very clear roadmap on how to shift your mindset, change your habits, and step into this new version of yourself. Really fully embrace who you've been meant to be. So, I'll tell you guys a little bit about me, right? So, every single year, I have a mantra that I live by. And in 2023, the mantra was one good year can change your life forever. And that's what I live by. Then in 2024, which was relevant to what I'm saying here, I had the statement that said, remember who the fuck you are. And the reason I said that, and I say it so passionately, is because in context, reinvention is, like I said, remembering who you are, more so uncovering who you're always meant to be. And it's easy to get clouded in everything we've already seen, what we see online, and the version of ourselves that we're lying to ourselves about being, whatever the case is, right? But you have to remember, you can't become who you're meant to be by staying who you are. Now, one thing that's guaranteed in life is change. And when you're going through life, you're going to experience this thing called process, because everything has a process, everything has a cycle, and everything has a season. And understanding this allows you to understand further that reinventing yourself and truly embracing who the F you're meant to be, sidebar, 2025's mantra is why not me? So to complete that thought, right? But you need to ask yourself, you just realize that you're not broken, right? You're ever evolving. And that requires you to shed old layers, right? It requires you to make consistent small steps through the process. And I think that's probably the toughest part. That's probably the biggest challenge that most people are going to face, is understanding and being okay with the process of change, because it's not easy and it's not comfortable. And a lot of times we fear, or struggle, I should say, with reinventing ourselves because we're afraid of failing. We're afraid of judgment, and we're afraid of anything that we don't know. We like to hold on to old identities because they're convenient. They feel safe, even if they no longer serve us. And that's why you always have to remember that you can't become who you're meant to be by staying who you are, like I said. And in order to shift and really step into this new cycle, you have to understand something very simple. The only way to figure out who you're meant to be is understand where you've been. And in order to do this, you just have to fucking be honest with yourself. And this is the hardest pill for me to swallow for the longest time, but it literally changed my life. And it's one of the things I preach about in my 7 pillars in my community, is you have to be able to sit there and do a self-assessment, right? Where are you right now? What's working and what's not? Are you living the life that you design, or the one that's defaulted, right? Does your identity feel outdated? Are you doing old habits? Are you still in environments that don't foster your growth? What are you tolerating? What's holding yourself back? You have to really ask yourself, what am I tolerating? What am I allowing to still control me in my life, right? And this is all about being radically self-honest, because growth only happens when you stop lying to yourself. When you're able to sit there and define what you truly want, right? Without any sort of external validation or praise. What do you actually want from your life? And in order to do that, you just simply have to be honest. It's only you that you're looking at in the mirror. There's nobody else deciding who you're going to be besides you. And if you're asking yourself now, okay, I'm going to be honest with myself, you go through the process, you do our personal identity audit, which is in my community, and then you say, okay, cool. Well, how do I redefine my identity then? Well, ask yourself one question. Who do you want to become? You have to visualize that version of yourself that does the things that you're afraid to do. You have to visualize yourself as the person that does the task and works the habits that the successful version of you would, how do they think? How do they act? How do they dress? How do they speak? How do they show up? Is there a presence when they're there? And for me, naturally, I have a presence anywhere I am. But for the version of me that I truly wish to become, I'm tired of not walking in a room and all the heads snap. You know what I mean? I need every single person to say, oh my gosh, who is that guy? That's what I want in my life. And that became a reality for me, or a realization, I should say, when I started just being honest, right? Who is Gary? Because you have to understand, your identity isn't fixed, right? It's fluid. You get to choose. You get to choose who you're going to show up as. Are you going to show up as Batman today or Peter Parker? And I know these are two different, I understand, Marvel and DC completely, but what I'm saying is, are you going to show up as Bruce Wayne, the broken, falling apart dude, or are you going to show up as Batman, the guy that seeks vengeance, right? When you do this, you just have to ask yourself, like, you have to just have a mindset shift, right? Stop asking, what should I do? The real framing should be, who do I need to become to achieve this? You know, instead of like asking, why is that not happening to me, as what can I do for that to happen to me, right? You don't know what anybody's ever sacrificed to be the person that they are. And the great thing about confidence is people can fake it, and nobody knows you're faking it besides you, right? And by aligning your vision with this, you then focus on aligning your habits. You're going to realize that the identity that you want, you're actually stepping into, as long as you follow like the habits that align with this, right? You know, stop waiting for change. You are the change. You know, it's like, stop waiting for things to happen to you. You are the thing, right? So start saying to yourself, like, hey, I'm not waiting for change. I am the change. And in order to do this, you know, that may seem like a lot for you guys. That might be like overwhelming. Well, break everything down into small steps, you know, just very small, consistent steps. You got to understand the power of micro habits, right? You don't need to overhaul your life in one day. You just need to make small daily shifts that compound to become that actualization, right? That transformation over time. And always remember this, and this is something I preach. It's all about consistency over intensity, right? It's better to be, you know, this quote I live by, right? So, you know, consistency over intensity. Would you rather be occasionally great or consistently good? Because you can be great one day and not be great for 10 years. But you can be good every single day and everybody know you as being good, whereas the other one, you might just be a one-hit wonder. You know, the guy that could have but didn't. So you just have to ask yourself about that. Furthermore, understand that discipline beats motivation every time. You know, motivation is fleeting. Discipline is sustainable. You know, like reading 10 pages of a book could be a way to start with the habits, right? You know, 15 minutes of exercise. Maybe you'll do an extra few push-ups. It's just all about the small little changes. And when you do this, I just want you to like make this your new mantra. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, you know, create that moment through action, you know, and you have to let go to grow naturally. So you have to release the old version of yourself. You have to release what no longer serves you. You can't keep doing these old habits because you're going to feel stuck. You can't step into the new while holding and clinging on to the old, right? Like I said it before, and I mentioned in another video, like you can't keep holding on, because the thing that you're holding on to could be what's holding you back, right? And it's gonna be painful, you know, letting go of that version of yourself, because often growth feels like loss before it feels like gain. Like it's like when people say you have to lose something for you to gain it, but you have to value it, whatever, right? You just have to do this because doing this shows you have faith in that process. And even if it feels uncomfortable, trust that you're creating this space that you need to grow. Trust that you're creating a space that's going to allow for a better life, plain and simple, right? And if it's difficult for you to do that yourself, you just need to shift your environment. You need to be around growth, right? So that might look like going to coffee shops or expensive hotels and grabbing a coffee or drink in these places, wherever, right? You might need to go take a trip. You might just need to, like, seeking inspiration is huge, especially for me, because exposure expands your beliefs. So if you don't see something, you're not going to believe that it's possible, right? And from a spiritual perspective, you know, the Bible says, be transformed by renewing your mind. So true change starts from within. The Bible says it. It's right there. It's written in plain sight. So if you want to renew your mind and change and make this shift, you just have to make small, consistent steps, right? And you don't lose when you fail, you lose when you quit. So as long as you keep fighting for the better life that you want, you'll never fail, you know? So I just want to leave you guys with some final thoughts as always, you know. You have the power to pivot, okay? To evolve, to start fresh, no matter where you are right now, okay? And if you're ready to reinvent yourself, I want you to just comment, I choose growth. You know, make a bold declaration that you're not going to do the same shit, that you're going to take the space and become the person necessary to obtain anything that you want. And be okay with that, right? Like, you don't need permission to change your life. You just need to make a decision. And that starts today. So if you guys are looking for any sort of resources or things that might help you through this journey, help you make this process, I have a lot in my community. That's either in the description or in the bio, so you can check it out there. And I just want to see you guys be great, because a lot of what I tell you guys is things that I've experienced in my own life as well. And the greatest teacher of life is experience. So I'm just speaking from that, and hopefully that makes somebody's life just a little bit easier. But I love you guys. You know, keep on rocking on and go change your life. Go do something great.